$5, $25,
Already go
or
to
even
sleep.
$100, it doesn't matter. Whatever you choose will support the community station that gives back to you through knowledge.
Hi, welcome to Girl Talk. I'm your host today, Miss E, the Power Broker. I think I'm here by myself for a little while. I don't know what happened. Maybe they got hung up in traffic. Who knows? But we do know that we just will keep it moving. Girl, G.R.L has a lot to be thankful for. We had a very successful soft opening of our Girl Village on 38th and Chestnut. It was really, really exciting. We had a lot of great people that showed up. I was surprised by a sign that my daughter in love made with the Girl Village, and my son finished and framed it. It was really nice with my grandchildren's prints on it. We have over 200 roses that were donated in our rose garden. Fantastic. I mean, we have a 32 by 32-inch stage that's inside of it. Have you been over there, Mister?
No,
You have to
no, I
stop by
haven't
there. It
seen
is
it.
really, really nice. Um, People always asked about the identity. Why did we put the roses in the rose garden? And I tell them, it's roses are a new beginning. When God created man, where did he come from? The garden. He put him in the garden. So this is our new beginning. It represents the victims and survivors of domestic violence. It's the first one across the nation. So we're proud to say that we have it here in Kansas City, and next year we hope it to be much bigger and bigger. It's just going to grow. It's going to be our um, what is that? The Rose Garden over there in
Loose Park.
Loose Park. Yeah, Loose
Who's
Park.
that by? I forget the name of that.
Loose Park's Rose Garden.
But it has a name, I think.
Loose Park's Rose
Is
Garden.
that it?
Mm-hmm. And they charge you to take pictures over there now.
Wow.
If you're a professional photographer and you use that part of the garden, they charge you now. And if they see the roses or garden in any publication, they will charge you for that.
Wow.
And a lot of people didn't know that until actually it took place. This week alone has been a very, very, like last week, a very violent week. We've had numerous women that were shot and murdered. And for some reason, we're not talking about it. I don't know why we're not talking about it, but nobody's talking about it. They just had one that happened over there on 58th and 55th and Swell Parkway, where a woman was shot, and killed. They found her shot and killed. And then I think we had another one this week. I can't remember exactly where it is, but the war on women is real. Did you see that young girl, the 11-year-old that was brutally beaten by 11 or 12-year-old boy?
12-year-old.
Yeah, because
I
he
did
called her a name or said something about her being black, and she said her black is beautiful, and he beat her up so bad.
Hit her with a pipe.
Wow, knocked out her teeth and everything.
Yeah.
They said it was going to press charges on him.
Yeah, they're thinking about doing federal hate crime charges also.
Wow. So I wonder if his parents practice that, that hate. I mean, hate is learned. Most hate
Yeah,
is a
you
learned
wonder
behavior.
where he got that from to be that hateful
Mm-hmm.
at 12. That's
Yeah,
somewhere.
man. But he hit her in her head.
From what I was reading an article on it yesterday, and after she had said what you said back to her, they said he hit her with a pipe. Yeah, I think he knocked her out.
Wow. I know her face is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Beaten. And sometimes you can have type of injuries that you don't even know, that are there until later.
Oh yeah, head injuries.
Mm-hmm. That's pitiful. I mean, why is the world so hateful? I mean, the people in the world is being so hateful. And I always speak on the war on women. All the things that are happening to women, and nobody's paying attention. I think they said we have something like 85,000 black women that are known that are missing, and nobody's talking about it. That's almost like the women that was missing over in where they were taking. I think it was 375,000 or something. No, it was 300 or something women that was taken from one of those countries. Um, young girls that were taken. Remember?
Oh yeah, that was one of the revolution groups or something.
Right,
They
right, right.
kidnapped a bunch of girls,
And they some of them came back, but not all of them were
some
returned.
of them, they've been coming back in bits and pieces. I think 80 one time and 100 another time or something like that. Then they say when they get back, a lot of them are being ostracized in their communities.
Why? Because they were taken out.
Yes, and they know they've been raped and all of that and stuff. So now they have to face a double stigma of coming back.
They're
and
being
now
penalized
people,
for the behavior of someone
that
else.
they had nothing to do with.
Yeah, but that's how it usually goes with rape victims. You know, they're the only ones that have to prove that they're been violated. You know, they have to go in. They have to prove the crime happened against them. You know, that's horrific in itself. So, you know, I always say about the runaway girls that run away from here. You know, children don't run away from happy homes. Period. They don't run away from happy homes. But what happens when the girl runs away from home and life takes a different turn, and she doesn't recover because she's not going back. She's not coming back home the same way in which she left. You know, and a lot of these girls are having sexual intercourses and with these boys at their homes, and then they have to be put out. Then they have to act like they ran away from home, and they come back home the next day.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. And it's not all new. I mean, it's not like a lot of that's just started happening. But
I think that social media has made it more prevalent, where you can tell, you know, you can talk about it and see that's what's happening on here.
yes.
For some reason, I'm feeling a little unrested. That's why I'm moving around a lot. Maybe it's because I got so much room. I don't know what to do.
Breathe deep.
You know,
breathe
maybe
deep.
that's what it is. I don't know. But you know, I've talked to several people about depression, and people are saying, "Well, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's like a dark cloud that's looming over a lot of people." I think it came in, for me to listen to people, I think it came in with the COVID-19. When we started the isolation, you know, people staying away from people staying at home, then people are finding out that they really don't know themselves or really don't like themselves, you know, spending so much time with one.
Yeah, that could be it.
You know, and they finding out they don't like what they gave us, you know, them, you know. But it's really sad because I'm hearing a lot of younger people speak on this depression. And I think it's because we are social beings. And when we stop being social, we suffer the consequences of it, which is your self-thoughts, you know, the little voice that speaks within. And then your life has changed. Nobody's working like they were working. A lot of, not, I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of folks are not working like they were working.
Yeah, you have to improve your coping mechanisms. There's a need out there for a lot of therapy. As this goes on and goes on in time, there's going to probably be even more. But they talk about the mental problems, and that's just another, another symptom from a pandemic. You know, because a pandemic, if you study it or look at it, it always has these type of effects. It's more than just the disease, but it's the living, you know, if you go back to I think they said the last time we had this was the Spanish flu that hit in 1915 or something like that. And they know that those stresses build up also.
But we had it, and also when they first came out with that swine flu.
And with the swine flu.
You know, they had that, but I don't think we were.
It wasn't as bad.
I don't think it was ever isolated.
Right. They didn't lock down a city with the swine flu. They kind of told us to stay away from people and stuff. But this lockdown thing, that was in 1915, the last time we had that. And they lost even more people than we're losing now because they didn't even have the medicines that we have now. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the comparisons.
But you can't have a medicine for a virus.
No, but I mean even some of the antibiotics that they use now to mitigate, they didn't have in 1915. You know, they definitely didn't have a vaccine for it. I mean, just like now. But, you know, where now we've got ventilators in 1915, they didn't have ventilators.
Well, I think that no, they probably didn't. But I'm thinking that, you know, the only way you're gonna kill a virus is with a virus. But this one right here is not new because it's on the back of Lysol bottles.
It's
So,
a different strain. It's a different strain. It's just like the flu. The flu that comes every year isn't the same flu.
right. So
And
why
that's
do
just a
you get a
new
shot?
strain.
Well, why do you get a flu shot?
Because they keep a bunch of like this strain of coronavirus, they're gonna have it locked away somewhere, frozen, stored, and they anticipate which one's coming. They make, predictions from what happens in another country, and then they start rolling out this, because this coronavirus, it'll be back,
It
COVID-19,
has never left.
but
You
it
know,
won't be as virulent once they have a vaccine
Well, they
for it.
said that the numbers are being moved around, that they're not true numbers. That they're saying that many people have not died from it, that they just been listing everything as COVID-19.
You can take that argument both ways. Some people have died and they're not listed as COVID-19 too, to keep the numbers down.
Well, where are those people at?
Well, like I say, it's everybody has their
But
things going
everything
on.
now is normally about COVID. You don't hear nobody talking about diabetes, heart attacks, or any of those high blood pressure. You don't hear them talking about it no more.
What we have to mention though was Chadwick Boseman and
Oh my God!
death there, and that men, African Americans, are a higher percentage of colorectal cancer deaths, and that's something that
But how
because
common is
of
that in someone his age?
very uncommon.
They're very uncommon.
From
I
what I
mean,
was reading, they hadn't been wanting you to start getting tested until 45.
Yes, that's what
and
I'm
he
saying.
was 43 and had been diagnosed 4 years ago, so he was 39
when he came
when he
at
got
38.
and 38, and that was even before what the recommendations. And they said they even lowered it. Said a few years ago they wanted you to start at 50,
right? But
and they brought it down to 45. And so,
But
is
one of the
something happening
things-
that people are catching it earlier?
I don't know, or maybe they misdiagnosed it and said it. I don't know, but I do know one thing about that young man that I took from him, that no matter what he was going through, and he was in a lot of pain, he had to be in a lot of pain, but he finished all of those movies, some of the best movies ever, doing that. You know what I'm saying? So what does that tell you about the type of man that he was?
Oh yeah, he was on a mission.
He was on a mission.
He was on a
because
mission.
most people could not even go through that because he had to be going through treatments during some of that period.
Oh, yeah, through most of it. They said he was on chemotherapy. He was having surgeries and then going back to film a new movie. And they just kept it under, I guess, within his family. But that, like, after this movie, before the next movie started, he's went in for surgeries and stuff like that. And then, and chemotherapy, some people, if they get that chemotherapy treatment, it knocks them out for a long time, let alone.
Yeah. Everybody takes it differently because I see some people that get up and can move around. I see some people that can't do anything once they get those treatments,
Yes.
So, and I imagine that the degree that he had it, he had to have strong doses of it. You know what I'm saying? But that says a lot because either his body didn't have a chance to rest, and to rebuild itself, his cells and stuff to rebuild itself, or like you said, he was definitely on a mission.
Yeah, I think he was a person that, was going to determined. I mean, to be in the business that he was in, you have to be determined anyway.
Right.
So, and then to excel in that business, you really have to be determined. So, that's in the makeup. It's like just being a super athlete. What he was doing was just as much work. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, when they go to do those movies, those
That's a
are
lot of work.
14, 16-hour days that they're there on the set. They don't go and punch a clock and do 8 hours and come back.
But wasn't that a well-kept secret, though? I mean, I had just recently started hearing the rumors about him losing weight. And, the first thing that they talked about, he must be on some type of drug or something. But nobody talked about him having cancer.
Yeah, and I think it was within a close circle, whoever it was. I know we have Cheryl Underwood's show here, and she mentioned on there that it was a well-kept secret, that those who knew didn't say anything. I don't know if she knew in advance or something, but she said it was people respected his privacy through that. So some people knew, but nobody. I think she was saying even with the press, there were some people that knew, but they didn't
I really don't think they
get
knew
it out there.
I really don't think he knew because even the press doesn't will sell a story, and
Oh,
that would
yeah.
have been a story. I don't think they really knew maybe the last part of it when they seen him
Well, yeah, I
recently.
think early on,
Because see
probably
what-
nobody knew.
Yeah, because see, when they did spot him, you seen how they put him out there. So I don't think they would have kept that a secret for years if they knew it.
But after you know it, and I looked at some pictures that they had on there afterwards, and I said, oh well, yeah, now you can see it well, but you didn't notice that before. I mean,
Well, you
he
seen the
had-
transformation of his face.
Right, he had
yeah.
grew this beard and stuff that
Yeah.
kind of still made him look, full. But as you look at it closely now, and knowing what you know, you say, oh yeah, he
Yeah.
was thinner and
Yeah.
stuff, but you may not have picked that up.
No, because he was a heck of an actor. And
He's
that,
got
and-
one more movie coming out too on
Yeah.
Netflix,
Yeah.
Ma Rainey's Blues or something.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the things I said that for me it was motivating me because we live through this life and we complain, but we never know what our neighbor is going through.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I always try to be on my best behavior with people and leave them where they're at. Instead of making stress in my life and trying to figure out why a person is navigating this way when I want to go that way. Because you never know what's on somebody's mind.
Yeah.
I met a lady yesterday in the store, and I always say that, God always sends angels or somebody to you as a wake-up call or your moment, And the lady that I met in the store, I was looking at some arts and crafts, and she leaned over and grabbed what I had. And I wanted to say, lady, what you doing? That was my first action. So then she said, what are you going to make out of that? And I'm thinking, you just took that, you want to hold a conversation with me? That was my mentality. And so my spirit said, look at that lady. So I looked at her and I said, what are you going to make? And she said, well, I'm going to put my name on it. After she heard me tell my granddaughter, you put your name on it. And so then she said, this time of the month or time of the year is very hard for me because she had lost her child. He was murdered several years ago. And she said she refuses to talk about it. She doesn't want to talk about it at work. She doesn't want anybody to bring it up. She doesn't want to talk about it, period. She doesn't talk about it with her child. She doesn't talk about it with her family. But she was sharing this with me yesterday. So after I thought about it, I go back and reflect. And she told me that she had been admitting herself in and out of research medical. Beautiful woman. And she said that her daughter and her are not getting along because her daughter thinks that she gave up on life to focus on just his, with her brother.
Yeah.
So the mother got mad at that, and I told her, I said, no matter what you do, it's not going to be enough because you can't take medicine to take away what God has given you as a purpose, and we think we can medicate ourselves or we can wean ourselves around it, but her purpose may be lying through her hurt to help someone, to help someone else that's hurting, that she can help them by speaking out about the darkness that you encounter.
Absolutely.
Not to be cruel, but sometimes in my life, I found that things has been, my mission has been my testimony, in life. What I thought was hard at the time, or what I thought was unfair, is what God prepared me to be able to deal with later on in life. It's not no coincidence that these incidents happen. It's a lesson in everything I was saying, that we do. And so when I got through with that, I started thinking, I went home and I started reflecting. I'm like, what was the purpose in me meeting her? What was the purpose in her telling me the story that she said that she doesn't share with anybody? What was her purpose in sharing with me this? And my spirit said, your purpose was to start a grieving process class because I'm still grieving. And that was my message, that you don't stop when that cassette closes. You don't. Your process doesn't stop then. And just because you grieve doesn't mean that it's going to end. That hurt is not going to end, but you have to find a way to live with it. You have to find a way to channel it and make it beneficial. You know what I'm saying? You have to. I think a lot of times somebody said it to me that when you grieve and you feel like you stop grieving, you stop loving that person, the memory of that person. So as long as we holding that in, we feel like we keeping that person's memory alive. You know what I'm saying? So we punish ourselves and take ourselves through this process rather than saying that the moment we was conceived on earth through our mother's womb, our time on earth was already written. We couldn't stay a day later or an hour sooner. We could to leave. It's already predetermined when we're going to leave. We just don't know when we're going to leave. And I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about all the women and men I've encountered over the last 3 months. And all of them have one thing in common. They're hurting. They're grieving, whether it's for a job, a spouse, themselves. Something is causing that darkness.
Well, we all go through, and like you said, with other things, everybody's grieving process is different. Everybody, doesn't grieve the same way. My grief is not your grief. My time of grieving is not your time of grieving. Some people grieve for a week or two. Some people grieve for a year or two.
Years.
It's just it's an individual thing that you have to go through. Can't nobody go through it for you. And sometimes if you need help, you need to be able to seek help with that. Sometimes we move on and the pain becomes less and less. But sometimes you have, and that's the thing in the African American community you have to be aware of, is that it's nothing wrong with seeking help with things. If you've been grieving, if you've been holding anything so long that it starts to really affect your life, then you may need to seek a professional.
And
somebody that can help you through that period and stuff. Maybe they can, maybe they can't, but sometimes you can't do it by yourself.
Well, sometimes you can't do it by yourself, but I do believe that sometimes the healing starts with self. I think that the healing starts with self. I think that the moment comes when somebody else recognizes it.
You may need help to get to that.
But I don't think that medicine is the what you need.
No,
that's what I was trying
medicine.
to. No, what I was saying to her, because we're quick to medicate.
Yeah.
And that medicate ends up with other problems down the line, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I found out that for me, when I'm going through my rough time, that's going to be my mission to work on this. That's my purpose. When you go through a heartache, you're going to deal with people that's heart's been broken. And you're going to know how to navigate through that because you have experienced it firsthand.
Sure.
Is what I was talking about.
Yeah, you can have empathy. I mean, that's the basis behind Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and all of that, is that, a drug addict that's been through it can more readily talk to a drug addict because he says, yeah, I know what you're going through.
And he actually do know what you're going through.
It's not a what I read or anything like that and stuff. Yeah, I know what it is, so I can empathize with what you're going through and stuff. So that may be that help that is able to be given from somebody else that has been through it to let you know too that there's another side.
There's another side.
There's another side that you will get through it. It's not the end of the world, because sometimes people get to suicide from grief.
Yeah, and a lot of times they don't understand that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary situation.
Yes.
If you would, I read this book when I was in school called I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. And through this woman wanted to die. She wanted to commit suicide, right? And God was telling her, I never promised you a rose garden without the thorns. You can have the rose gardens, but you're going to have the thorns that come with it.
Absolutely.
And in there, she's talking about how she wants to die. And she's talking to this person, and the voice comes and says, can you hold on until the morning? And so it was like tomorrow never comes. You know what I'm saying? Because tomorrow turned into today turned into yesterday. So it was asking her, can she just hold on to tomorrow, knowing that tomorrow will never come, that she will survive and live on. It was a powerful message in there, because sometimes when we're ready to give up or we think it's the worst, if we just hold on, if we just hold on for one more day, we may be able to see ourselves through it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I think this is what is happening with this, with us isolating ourselves. We're forgetting how to communicate our feelings and our needs, and we're being programmed. We're watching TV. We're not really doing anything useful. We're not helping each other. We're not helping ourselves. So that's when depression and stuff enters our body, because we're eating bad foods, And We just got a lot of things at idle hands is the devil's workshop. And that's why I continue to stress that we serve people, and I serve ourselves because it's keeping us out here. It's keeping us our minds functioning. And speaking of functioning,
Yes.
I wanted to talk about one of the projects that G.R.Y.L has taken on, and that project is with our young kings and our young kings and our young princesses. Well, our princesses, they're not young; they just
So what are young kings and young princesses?
the young kings is a concept that G.R.Y.L came up with for our children between the ages of 7 and 17, and one of the things is they're young boys, young men, and we're decided to go back and build a girl village. Well, a girl village is taking on Give Me Yourself Real Love Village. What it's taken on is we decided to separate the girls, the young kings, and the princesses on our studies. So the young kings are going to be learning things like, one of the things that they're going to learn is how to play chess, because chess develops you for thinking. It teaches you how to strategize, and it teaches you a whole lot that comes to the message of chess. Almost everybody that's brilliant has played chess sometime in their life. When I say brilliant, thinker, I hated chess because you have to sit so long. That's the only one that you can sit and your opponent can outweigh you just by sitting there. And my father used to do that to me for punishment, and I would have to sit there while he take 20, 30, 40 minutes to move, and then as soon as I get it, I move. And my father said, that's how you're going to move through life, because you got to think about what I'm getting ready to do, what you're getting ready to do, and what I'm getting ready to do 2 times. So you had to think further than what you've seen. I hated chess. I had no patience. And so, and that's the only game that you can sit there and don't have a time limit on, So my son
Well,
plays
that's on
chess.
some games. Now, some of the chess, they do have that timer that you have to hit.
Yeah, but most
That's
like
a different style. Like
Yeah.
when they go in those tournaments, you can't just sit there forever and stuff. They'll have a thing. What's the guy around
Bobby?
here? Is that
Who?
Price?
Okay, but see, I'm talking about when you're playing. He's
But
playing.
yeah, I mean, when you play a leisurely game, like you say, yeah, it can go for
But I've never
hours
seen
or
him with
so.
I never seen him with the timers. And when my father used to play a lot of chess games, they didn't use timers back then.
It is amazing. Now, I had to go to really see that. You go back east.
Okay.
When I went to Washington, and they've got like parks there.
Okay.
And you go in the park like the old men around
Right.
here when you grew up used to play dominoes
Right.
in the park. They have chess tables, and they're sitting out in the park, and they've got these timers, and they're playing. And I stood there and just watched. I was amazed. I thought, wow, I hadn't seen that. And these were mostly African Americans.
Well, you know what? Because when you think of the game of chess and you think how brilliant we are, a lot of black people play chess. You know what I mean?
It was
I'm talking about,
amazing.
and so we're going to teach that. We have a chess club that we're forming.
Very good.
We have a domino club that we're forming, and we have Welcome to My Blackness Spades. Because if
Okay.
you can't be black and don't put the D in dominoes, you know what I'm saying? But these are not only ways of learning, is ways to socialize.
Sure.
Because for years, I grew up in Prairie Park, and for years the guys played dominoes, and we watched
Absolutely.
them in the park, and we watched them spin them. I used to love this, and they didn't have spinners on them.
No.
But they knew how to spin those dominoes,
Yeah.
and they talked trash. I love trash talking, but in chess, nobody talks, nobody breathes, nobody moves. So, good luck with this, but it's going to teach them something. But I'm looking forward to the checkers, the dominoes, and the chess, and the card playing. Because at the end, what we're going to do, we're going to do play nights with our parents and grandparents, and so they'll be able to play them in dominoes and chess and all the games that that brings the families together. I know
yeah.
before we played dominoes, my father made us play checkers. We had to play checkers. Then we had to play before we messed up his cards, we had to play war. And that war, we would play all night long off of that one thing on war. I declare war, and then you get all that, and if you lose, we play war. And then if you didn't like each other, we played knuckles. Where you hit each other on them knuckles with the cards.
Knuckle poker.
Oh my God, we were no poker. It was knuckles.
Oh, we played knuckle poker.
It might have been. I
That
don't
was
know.
in the projects.
Well, we was too. So we played that.
It gets serious.
Yes,
Your
and your
hands
knuckles
be
be all
sore.
messed up. You'll be deformed and stuff. And so we're gonna teach them that. We're gonna teach them spades because if you learn spades, you also know how to play bid. Bid is just spades, counting, and hearts. So we're gonna take them back and teach them the old-fashioned village games that we grew up with, But that will help them to learn not only to count but to focus, And so our young kings are going to learn personal hygiene, which is very important because they don't have that in school anymore. So they're going to learn the personal hygiene. Then we have the fashion and stylists. We're going to come in and teach them how to, wear the clothes, how to look good in your clothes. And if you only have used clothes, how to make that look good. Because them stylists can do that. They can take something that you get ready to throw away and turn it into a different matter of material on a outfit on you. Then we're going to teach them the martial arts, the academic, and we got the entrepreneur market that's going to open up with the young kings. We have a lot of stuff that we're getting ready to do, and then Charles is bringing in the truth about drugs. So we're going to bring in the drug information to have classes on drugs because a lot of them are coming from areas that are full with drugs, and it looks good on TV, but what does it do to you? And then we have our young princesses from 7 to 17, and the girls are doing all sorts of things. Culinary arts, same thing about the manners. Only we're going to introduce manners to them, instead of all the other stuff, dancing and, everything that we normally do, we're bringing it in back to our children.
No,
and it's free.
Good.
It's free for it's free for members of G.R.Y.L. So people join G.R.Y.L, Young Princess, it's free. So there's no charge on it. And then Brandon's going to be teaching political history.
Okay.
No. Is it politics and politic history? Something about politics and history.
Okay.
And I think that's very important because we don't see ourselves in history with politics. Unless we see ourselves marching or, the civil rights movement or anything. But I think it's important that we know that we across the world are involved in political in some major fashion. And then hopefully we'll get up here and put on a show with our young kings and princes, for those that are involved in our writing class, because we have a writing class that's going on. So they're going to learn to be a journalist. So this will help them in, to format that. Really, we're trying to get into homeschooling, because many of our children will not be returning. So we thought, well, this is a great time to introduce the things that they're not learning in school and teach them. Besides their regular class studies, now is the time to be in their ear and get them involved in science and all these things that they're not involved in school with.
Yeah.
So it won't be a waste of our time to say we got another thug over here, another this and that. Now this village is responsible for the upbringing of our children.
Uh-huh. Well, that sounds like a mission. For sure.
It's really hard when you're sitting here talking to yourself. I'd be like, hey, Thurman, what do you think about this? Oh, Diva, what do you think about that? So I have to go on and thinking, I'm so sleepy. For some reason, I got up here and I got sleepy. My eyes were drooping and stuff. But, but it's just so much stuff going on, not talking about taking away from the domestic violence because that's really serious. But what do you think about the recall efforts for Quentin Lucas?
I think it's, what do I want to say, premature. I don't think that he has had a record or been in office long enough that shows anything that would qualify for a recall. Wearing a mask, wanting everybody to wear a mask, that's CDC recommendations and stuff. I don't see that as a reason for a recall.
I think one of the reasons they wanted to recall him is because of their businesses losing money, and he put those restrictions in. On
I understand that and stuff, but like I said, he's following the instructions from the CDC or the recommendations from CDC, and somebody had to make a call. I mean, some businesses would have rather we never closed ever. So somebody has to make a decision. We can second guess it later, but a decision. That's what you elect the mayors, governors, presidents, any elected officials for. Is they've got to make the tough decisions.
But I think that one of the decisions they're making is when he called it for a whole year. And that's one of the things that the people's business are serious losing business. And then the ones that they were allowed to go to, like liquor stores and all of these other things, McDonald's and, places like that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's like the McDonald's right down the street here. The dining room is still closed. They're probably not making the money that they normally would make. And that becomes partly a choice because they can open up limited seating, but they've closed the whole dining room. It's drive-through only.
They save money. I mean, they don't
a lot
have to
of
pay
places you go to, they've self-said they're not going to let people in. They're going with M&M Bakery right up the street and stuff. You don't go inside of there.
How do you get your sandwiches from there?
Through the window. They've cut in 2 windows. You put the order at one window and you pick it up at the other window, but it's all outside.
Well, I didn't know that.
I drove by there and saw a line of people, and I'm thinking, what? And they're not letting people in there, and so it's tough. I mean, this pandemic is tough. It's tough calls being made. It's just like with the kids playing sports and all of that now. But does that mean we get rid of all the superintendents that said, the kids can't play sports this year? I mean, they're making some decisions, and some of them may end up being right. Some of them may end up being wrong. People are getting hurt. I mean, jobs and stuff like that. But I still don't know that that's a recall effort. Because you could placate everybody and say, well, we'll let them do it. I mean, I would say the mayor even gave in when the restaurants were saying that 10% capacity wasn't enough. He didn't say, well, it's going to be 10% or nothing. They raised it up. He said they could do, Jaspers and all of them were saying they couldn't make enough money off that. So they said, okay, you can have more in there. So he's been willing to compromise. So I still don't see that as a recall. Yeah, you may disagree with him. You may be mad at him. But I don't see it as a recall.
Well, I mean...
Because if every time somebody made a decision that hurts people and stuff, we put out a recall, most of our politicians would be getting recalled all the time.
Well, I mean, why didn't they recall Trump?
Yeah, I mean, it should be a petition out for
now
that.
Now it's looking like a racial thing with Quentin because, the reason why I say it looks like it could be a racial thing is because they've been fighting the police, asking to get rid of the police chief.
Yeah.
And nothing's been done. And, I mean, there's numerous things that he could stand on and say this is why he needs to go.
And even Quentin has said he's not for getting rid of the police chief. He said that you're not going to please everybody because there's some people that want to get rid of him for that.
Yeah.
Because you won't get rid of the police chief, then that's a reason to recall yourself. I mean, there's
but
a lot of reasons. That would
be more of a recall reason than to say the mask mandate. But I think the mask mandate has a lot to do with the businesses that are going out of business and was already projected really to do this. I don't think any of those businesses were caught off guard, especially the ones on the plaza.
And there's a lot of businesses aren't going to, and a lot bigger than Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've got Macy's and some of the Brooks Brothers and some of these 100-year-old names and stuff that have folded up. You've got airlines that are teetering on going out of business right now. It's a hard time nationwide. So to say that our mayor should be recalled because of it, I don't see that.
That's why I say sometimes it looks, even though we don't want to think it, but racism is real in Kansas City. And if they wanted to recall somebody, Chief Rick Smith would have been the major choice. They've been fighting that. I remember years ago when they tried to do a recall on Sergeant McFadden Weaver, and it wasn't enough of a complaint that was violent to make it happen. When they went in front of them and says, we want to recall her on this. But it wasn't a part of her duties that they asked that they was recalling her for. So I'm really surprised that this doesn't even say just because they got their signatures doesn't mean the council's going to vote for the recall.
And I need to see, I haven't really seen what the recall's about. I've heard about it. But I guess I need to see one of the sheets. What are they recalling him for? Is it for the mask mandate, or I've just heard it on the news that they're trying to recall him. Well, on the sheet, it's got to have something on there of why.
Right. I haven't seen the sheet, and
So
maybe
that's
I'll
something
pull
to
it up
look
when I
up.
go, because they have
Yeah.
a Facebook page on the
Yeah.
recall. I haven't joined in any of that stuff, because even though I don't agree with a lot of stuff that mayor does, I don't agree with this recall, and I don't support the recall, because I think there's other things that we should be focusing on, and that recall for mandate mask wearing, I don't think that's enough to recall anybody
No.
off their duties.
And not when you should supposed to be wearing a mask.
No,
I mean,
and-
everybody says that helps. Well, not everybody, because we do have some people in high offices that don't, but they've kind of been drugged to saying that you should wear it. But for the most part, the science and all that is behind wearing a mask. Now, they don't have you going out wearing gloves. They tell you to wash your hands. The only thing they're asking is wear a mask. Some people say it's a freedom thing. It's this and that. But it to me, it's
What
a
is the
proven
longest?
thing.
What is the longest time you've worn a mask?
Oh, it's been probably while I was at church. I'd say about 2 hours.
Okay,
That's
noticed
probably
that-
the longest
that
time
you
to
wore it,
actually
right.
say that I've worn it.
I've noticed that the first time I wore it, and I was doing activities outdoors, I had to stop wearing it because I couldn't breathe. But I noticed that now, even my granddaughter, when she puts it on for a length of time since it's been so hot, she complains about her breathing. And if you listen to them, they breathe really, really fast and really, really hard. Because we breathe wrong anyway. Most of us don't do a complete breathe in,
Yeah.
breathe out. We don't breathe, we halfway breathe, so we don't breathe correctly in the first place. So then you put this object that stops you from breathing through your mouth, and now you're trying to breathe through your nose.
And it depends upon the type of mask you have. I like the disposable
Throwaway.
paper ones because I can breathe better through them. I bought a couple of the cloth
Yeah,
ones
but
and
feel
stuff,
like the
and
cloth is sitting
they're
right
too
there.
thick. I can't breathe. So the throwaway ones, I like
better.
them and stuff. For me, I
Well, you
see
only wear it
people-
because they're not meant to wear that same mask for 8 hours.
No,
People
no.
wear it.
And it's like where I don't have a need. I'm not somewhere in close proximity of people for that long a day. Now, people that have to, like at work situation, I mean, the cashiers at these stores and stuff like that, I really can feel for them because now they've got to keep a mask on their whole work shift.
They're going to be jacked up. I mean,
that's altogether different. I put a mask on when I walk inside the store, and when I come back
then you
out,
see-
I take it back
then
off.
you see people riding down the street by themselves. Well, and I'm thinking, this is.
yeah, you're in the car by yourself. You don't need the mask on.
But maybe they know something we don't know.
But that's the thing. But yeah, it's not a convenient thing. I don't like. I mean, when we go out fishing, me and my wife go fishing. Well, we don't wear masks, but we're 6 foot apart from people. As I tell them, that's our time to get out and socialize because everybody. One thing about fishermen, they don't like nobody getting up close
They
to them.
don't.
So everybody's kind of spread out. So you may wave and you talk to them over there, but you ain't got to come up to me.
Well, I think the 6 feet is just a myth, because I mean, what happens if you get 5 feet? I think it's just a myth. I don't
Well,
think
it's a number. It's just to come up with a number. I was
Yeah.
watching a test today, and most of what they were showing on the test, and they were showing different mass and stuff. They said the particles went about 3 feet. But they tell you 6 feet probably because most of us can't judge distance. If they
and
told
we're
you,
gonna be right up there anyway.
yeah, if they told you 3 feet, because you tell an average person to get 6 feet back,
I
they'll
think-
step back about 2 or 3 feet.
But
they
you know,
don't think that's
but you know what?
enough.
I started driving 6 feet behind the cars.
You don't catch nothing but their car.
I'm like, I'm finding myself with a big space in between the cars. But I'm thinking, what is that doing for single people dating?
Woo.
That would be scary. You used to go and ask them, have you been tested? For HIV, for any, STD. Now,
Yeah, right now dating is
I think it's
especially
over with.
yeah, especially if it's somebody you don't know. How you go? No, that's bad because it's been a lot longer than I even thought it was gonna happen. I was thinking that okay, we'll do this and we'll be getting on, and now it doesn't seem like
because
this
they
is
said
gonna.
at first it was going to stop. It killed it at 82 degrees.
Yeah. So
What
we've
happened
heard
to
that.
that?
And stuff, but now it's going to be into the new year before we
It's going to be into
even think about something happening. It's
It's
not
gonna
going to
be-
happen this year at all.
It's going to happen November the 4th.
Nah, it ain't going to happen.
It's going to
November
happen
4th.
November
They
the 4th.
wanted to.
It's
And if they have any reason to announce that we found the cure, yeah, it's going to be out there. People are pushing for that. But
On
realistically,
election day,
yeah,
it's going to happen. Trust me.
but realistically,
It's going to happen.
it's going to be into the new year.
It's going to happen November the 4th.
You know, nah, this winter is over.
I'll be willing
Now
to.
somebody's going to say it happened, but that doesn't mean people won't still be dropping dead. You know, it's one thing about
People
saying.
are dropping dead all the time, but
Yeah.
I'm saying they're not going to drop because it's not really that many people that's passed away.
And part of the thing, I mean, they're trying to say now that everybody that died from COVID didn't really die from COVID
Right.
and stuff. If any underlying disease, if you have diabetes and you die now, well,
told
it
you.
was the diabetes. It wasn't COVID.
I
and stuff.
told you,
But
the truth will always come out.
you know, the thing will be is what did the observations be? Diabetes don't usually clog up your lungs.
I don't know.
And that you can't breathe. I mean, you lose a leg, you lose your sight, things like that. But it don't usually.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, but
If a person ends up, it's not too many diabetics that you have that die and I can't breathe.
unless you,
So they'll be saying George Floyd had COVID pretty soon.
he did.
Yeah.
He did. He
That's
did
absolute.
have it. But they said he had it when they found out, but that wasn't the reason why he couldn't breathe. You know, that
I
was
just
that was
saying.
that foot to the neck reason why he couldn't breathe. Well, I see our time is almost over. Yeah, it's been fun, but Miss E gotta run. You know, I should have ate before I came up here. And you know, next Wednesday we'll be back and we'll be talking about some things that's going on because it is Memorial Day weekend and everybody have a safe one. Oh, Labor Day Memorial, okay. It is Labor Day weekend and everybody have a safe one. And if you'd like to get involved with Girl, we would love to have you. You can email me at girl.g.y.r.m.votp@gmail.com. If you would like for your youth to get involved in our programs, you can email us also at girlinfo@gmail.com or catch me on Facebook, and then that way we can connect and I can hook you up. Until then, God bless and be good.
This is national recording artist Carl Rowland, and I am a proud supporter of KUAW's Summer Fun Drive, and I've got something special in store for you. So come on and join me. Head to KUAW.org and donate now. There is no minimum, but your support of $5, $25, or even $100, it doesn't matter. Whatever you choose will support the community station that gives back to you through knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And just for being a value listener and supporter, I'd like to give to you my complimentary 10-song smooth CD music pack featuring my new hit single, A Natural High. So don't hesitate. Donate now. And hey, it's even tax deductible. And did I mention I'll be giving to you my 10-song smooth CD music pack? You can't beat that hookup. So I'm going to go ahead now and thank you for your donation.
Be sure and include your email address and we will send you information to receive your 10-song CD pack. Thank you for supporting KUAW Radio.